What if I told you that a cat could be both alive and dead at the same time? Welcome to the intriguing world of quantum physics. This is the realm where the rules of the universe as we know them get turned on their heads and reality becomes a bit quirky. It's a world where particles can exist in multiple places at once, and the act of observing can change the nature of what's observed. It's a place where the impossible becomes possible, and the improbable becomes almost certain. Among the many mysteries of quantum physics, two interpretations stand out for their audacious claims: the Copenhagen Interpretation and the many worlds interpretation. These two theories, as contrasting as they are captivating, offer different perspectives on the bizarre reality of the quantum world. Now, let's dive into these two interpretations, starting with the Copenhagen Interpretation. In the 1920s, the Copenhagen Interpretation emerged, turning our understanding of reality on its head. This interpretation, championed by the likes of Niels Bohr and Werner Heisenberg, has since been a cornerstone of quantum mechanics. The Copenhagen Interpretation introduces two key principles that challenge our everyday experience of reality: the concepts of wave function collapse and quantum superposition. To understand these, consider the famous thought experiment by Erwin Schrödinger, known as Schrödinger's cat. Imagine a cat inside a box, along with a radioactive atom that could decay at any moment, triggering a mechanism that would, unfortunately, end the cat's life. Now, according to classical physics, the cat is either dead or alive, based on whether the atom has decayed. But quantum mechanics, as per the Copenhagen Interpretation, insists that until we open the box, until we observe the system, the cat is both dead and alive. Yes, you heard it right. The cat is in a superposition of states simultaneously dead and alive. This is where the second principle, the wave function collapse, comes in. The act of observing, of opening the box, forces reality to make a choice to collapse the wave function. At that moment, the cat becomes either dead or alive, not both. The act of observation, as per the Copenhagen Interpretation, determines reality. So what happens to the other possibility? If the cat is found alive, what happens to the reality where it was dead? Well, the Copenhagen Interpretation dismisses it, saying it simply ceases to exist. So, in essence, the Copenhagen Interpretation suggests that until observed, particles exist in all states simultaneously. But there's another interpretation that offers a different perspective. This is where the many worlds interpretation steps in, proposing a reality where all possibilities coexist. But that's a story for another scene. Imagine an infinite number of universes, each representing a different outcome of every possible event. This is the core idea of the many worlds interpretation. Now, let's dive into the concept of many worlds interpretation, a theory that has sparked many fascinating discussions and debates among physicists and philosophers alike. In essence, the many worlds interpretation tells us that all possible alternate histories and futures are real. This mind-bending idea is based on the premise that for every decision you make, for every action you take, there's a universe where you made a different choice. So, how does it differ from the Copenhagen Interpretation we discussed earlier? Well, the most significant difference lies in the treatment of the wave function collapse. The Copenhagen Interpretation suggests that quantum particles exist in all their possible states at once, but once they're measured, the wave function collapses into one definitive state. Simply put, before you open the box, Schrödinger's cat is both alive and dead. But when you peek inside, the cat is either alive or dead, not both. On the other hand, the many worlds interpretation entirely dismisses the idea of wave function collapse. It proposes that all possible outcomes of all events are realized. So, in the context of Schrödinger's cat, when you open the box, you split into two versions of yourself, one facing a live cat and the other facing a dead one. Each version of you exists in a separate, parallel universe. This interpretation, while challenging to wrap our heads around, does away with the randomness and uncertainty at the heart of the Copenhagen Interpretation. It provides a deterministic view of quantum mechanics, where every event spawns a new universe. In conclusion, the many worlds interpretation gives us a fascinating and somewhat mystifying view of reality. It suggests an infinite multiverse, where every possibility exists in a parallel universe of its own. According to the many worlds interpretation, every possible outcome of every event defines a new universe. So, if we follow this interpretation, Schrödinger's cat is both alive and dead, but in different universes. So, we have two interpretations of quantum physics, each proposing a different take on reality. The Copenhagen Interpretation suggests a reality that collapses into one outcome, while the many worlds interpretation proposes an infinite number of universes, each holding a different outcome. They're like two sides of the same coin, both real, yet fundamentally different. Whether we live in a world of collapsed realities or infinite universes, one thing is clear. Quantum physics continues to challenge our understanding of the cosmos. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the quantum realm.